Hello, and welcome back to Big Asian Energy. Right now, we're chatting with Dr. Stacey Litam again. This is the second time that we've had her on the show, and we've dived deeper into not just family topics, but today is actually a very special episode because today we are doing a snack-based episode. So what is happening is that we have each chosen snacks that are from our respective childhoods, and the other person will go through it and talk about our experiences while we share stories from our childhoods and see what that brings up.
Amazing. I'm so excited. This is literally one of the most exciting episodes I think I've ever done on Big Asian Energy because today we're not only, there's two things I'm very excited about. The first thing, we brought snacks.
Yeah.
We brought so many snacks. This is our snack episode. We are going to talk all about our childhood snacks, our favorite childhood snacks, and we're going to eat it and talk about it and share stories. And the far more exciting thing is we have Dr. Stacey back on the show for an encore. If you remember her, our shorts have gone viral because she is so amazing and has so many incredible ideas. And every time I find out a little bit more about Stacey, because she is so incredibly humble, it kind of blows my mind a little bit. I found out that she not only is tenured, which is a huge deal in the academic world, but she is also promoting other Asian Americans who don't get enough tenure positions in the academic world. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So continuing to uplift and center other Asian Americans who are going through the process, helping to demystify what the tenure process entails so that we can increase more representation, because if you can't see it, then you can't be it. And we love to see more Asian Americans in a variety of new spaces.
Hells yeah. That was so well put. Patterns Remain, Dr. Stacey. This is a book that has changed people. Truly. I have people in my own communities, and I have people who have, my friends who have read it, and they love it. They love some of the things. I love your models. I love the lessons that you teach. You know, it talks about things like burnout. It talks about things like home. I love the healing orientation model that you talk about here. I'm just going through all of the highlights that I have, the freedom to heal. It's just one of those books that when you pick it up and you start reading it, you realize, oh my gosh, this is one of those books that I wish I've had in my life when I was, I don't know, a kid about to eat these snacks or not getting to eat these snacks. So we're going to do a little bit deep dive there.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So, yeah, as you described, the book is really around healing some of our inner child wounds. And what better way to do that than through food and kind of regrounding ourselves in some of these inner child and even childhood experiences. So, this is our kind of mukbang episode. We're going to eat the food like really slowly.
We have our high-end mics so we can fully capture all of the... all of the what are they, the mukbang, the ASMR sounds?
The ASMR tingles.
Okay, all right, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna jump right in. So we're gonna talk, we're gonna open up a snack, we're gonna eat a snack, and then we're gonna share our experience around it. So what has happened here is Stacey has snacks from my childhood. I was born in Taipei, so a lot of the snacks, that's right, were from my childhood. And I think snacks are such a big thing in Asian cultures because food is an expression of love, right? It's such a deep expression of love. Two reasons. One, we have the best snacks. I'm just going to unapologetically say that.
Yes.
Every culture is beautiful. Every country, society, all the foods are amazing, but Asian snacks are the best. In my opinion.
Far superior.
Far superior. Yeah. We're also the most humble when it comes to talking about our food.
Oh, arguably the most humble.
That's right. Exactly. Now, so I have snacks from your childhood here. So I'm going to ask you to tell me about what they are and, you know, maybe memories or stories that you've had around them. So this is the first one.
Which one are you picking first?
This
oh, the half flake. Oh, okay. One of these.
Yes, that's right.
So these are half flakes. It's I think it's what is the flavor profile here? Potassium sorbate. and red number 40. It's not good
Really
for us.
classic grandma
Asian flavors.
pantries. The kind of stuff that our ancestors once ate in the rural lands.
Yes. When I was a kid, we would eat these haw flakes and we would pretend that they were like communion because I was raised Catholic. And so we would pretend that they were just like hosts and we would just like smash them.
It's got a little bit of that acid, like the little sourness to it. A little like that perks it up. I could see that. That wouldn't have been my first thought, but I'm here for it.
What comes to mind from your childhood as you eat these haw flakes?
Okay, so this is my memory.
Here we go.
And the memory of it is not eating the whole flakes. So I'll explain. So we would go to friends' houses because, like, you have like aunties, right? In your growing up Asian, you have aunties and uncles. They're not related to you, but you go to their house. And the rule was, whenever somebody visits your house, you have to have a plate of different kinds of snacks, and it's usually cut fruit. We love cut fruit.
Asians love cut fruit.
Of course. And then there's individually wrapped candies, like those guava candies. Like there was always a classic. And if you have, certain households, they have those like strawberry candies.
Yes. With the gel on the inside?
Yes.
With the
that's
green
right.
strawberry top and the strawberry looking. Oh, I love those.
I love those. They were so good.
They're like grandma candies.
They're like grandma, 100%. And but here's the thing: when you're a kid and you go to visit another family's house, they will offer it to you, and your job, or at least my job, was to politely say no. You're not allowed to accept it.
The
At
first
least
time.
not. So I was brought up. I don't know. I didn't know until later on that you were supposed to reject it a couple of times and then accept. Because I think my parents just didn't want me eating too much snacks. So they told me that you just don't ever accept.
Interesting. Okay. So again, like with the humility theme.
Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
humble.
You can't receive. You can't receive. And that's what taught me how to not receive love. But yeah, so I remember seeing these in those kind of plates, and I would try one. I think at one point, because somebody gave me one, and I was like, this is so good. But I was never allowed to have them. What was your
Now
story?
you are. Now you can give them to yourself. You can give yourself the love that you need. You can cut your own fruit.
I can cut my own fruit. That's right. This is going to be a therapy session, isn't it?
Maybe. If you so would like to give that to yourself, I'm happy to hold space for you as we journey alongside our inner children and have snacks.
Can you all tell that Dr. Stacey is an incredible therapist? It's just so loving. Okay. What was your favorite memory from this?
I think my brothers and I used to sit on the floor of our kitchen in front of the fridge and just eat them and talk about, I think we would trade Pokemon cards. And so we used to just play Magic the Gathering, and really my brothers played. And I wanted to be included because I was the only girl of, with three brothers. And so I did whatever they did. And so we played Magic, and we would eat haw flakes and hide shoes and just hang out in the kitchen because our rooms were so small. We had a lot of, it was typically really messy. There were Legos everywhere. You couldn't really find a place to sit. But in the kitchen was just the place where we would hang out, and it always felt really special.
So, I'm just going to ask, were you a nerdy kid?
Absolutely, I was. Absolutely. I have very fond memories with my gray big Game Boy and playing, the original Pokemon, game where you pick your starter before Pikachu was an option.
Which one was yours?
There's only one right answer to this, John. It's Squirtle.
Squirtle was your favorite? I was
Squirtle.
Bulbasaur.
Oh, no!
Bulbasaur, I didn't know. Nobody taught me. This is me figuring it out. I wasn't allowed video games as a kid. I didn't discover Pokemon until much later, secretly, when I was in college. My parents didn't allow me to get any video games except for Dance Dance Revolution.
Well, okay. Well, yes, that is critical. And I could see you being like a DDR pro. I could see you
You
kind of
know,
walking up, like, oh, what is this game? I've never seen it before. And then
oh,
busting out, take
I
on
was
me.
I had skills. Yeah, I had to. What was
All
that
right.
butterfly song? Do 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 do
Yes.
do do
Do,
do.
do,
I don't
do,
remember it.
do,
That was
do,
classic.
do, do.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so if folks, if you don't know, John and I did a panel together for my book tour in New York, and it was very well received. Everyone is a big fan of John. And when we were together, we didn't get to go to an arcade. So the next time we are in the same city, we will find an arcade. We will have a dance off. We will live stream it for you. And we'll see John's expert
100%.
level GDR
100%.
skills.
Oh yeah. So I'm a gamer now. Although I don't talk about
Ooh,
this very often publicly,
what do
but
you play?
mm, oh yeah. Are we ready? Okay. I don't have that actually, but we can start with that. Um, I play. I mean, these days I'm more chill. Like I play a lot of like Far Cry and like um, oh, I'm blanking on that samurai game. I love it. It's so good, but it's something of Tsushima or something. I don't remember what the game is
Mm,
called, but it's good. I was obsessed with it. One of the most
okay.
beautiful games. I have yet to play Wukong, but I want to do that.
So these are like first person
Kind
story
of like,
games?
yeah. So you play as a samurai.
That's cool.
It's a
That's a
samurai
cool
game.
game.
Super cool.
Okay. So
Yeah.
my gaming life was like Warcraft. I
Oh
used
my gosh.
StarCraft.
I loved Warcraft.
Oh, I loved them all. I would go heavy with them all.
Oh,
Where you
for
have to
sure.
like
Yep.
summon creatures and beasts
Yep.
and then send
hmm
them off to battle.
Yep.
And I'm sitting behind
I
my keyboard, like, go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. My inner child is so happy right now. We would have, yeah, I
Mm.
played Warcraft. I didn't play World of Warcraft, but I got into Warcraft 3. I love
Mm-hmm.
playing tower defense games. I got into Dota.
Yes.
That got really addictive, and I had to
Mm-hmm.
stop for personal health reasons. Um, I
It was just
started
too
playing
good.
League, but I was like, no, this has got to stop.
Okay. Were you an Age of
Okay.
Empires guy?
No, were you?
No, but a lot of the men in my life are Age of Empires people.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, I got to meet him.
Is that a juice box, John?
Okay, so this is the next thing. This
Okay.
is a milk tea. I don't even think it has an English name. It's like a wheat. Wheat? It's like 麦
Mm.
香奶茶. So 麦香 is like some kind of wheat plant. So I used to love this was like winning the lottery. If your mom brought one of these or one of those chrysanthemum teas and you could take that to
Mm.
school, that was a good day. Because I remember seeing other kids with it,
Wow.
and this is so good. Have you ever had this?
No. But wait, go back. So you said you remember seeing other kids with this. And so when you would be in the lunchroom with this, what does that mean for you to have that milk tea with you?
Um, to me, I think that milk tea was almost like a belonging, and it was because all of my Asian friends. So I grew up in North America. When I first went to school here, I was like one of 2 non-Asian kids in my elementary school, and then all of a sudden, it was like a flood of Asian people, especially from Hong Kong, suddenly arrived around the time of the mid 1990s, because at the time it was Hong Kong was going through the handover. And suddenly I had a really interesting identity crisis experience because this was in my high school. So my elementary school, I was trying to fit in. I was just trying to, be more westernized to fit in. And then all of a sudden, all these new Asian people started coming in, and they just were. And I think that I always wanted to find that Asian community when I was in school, but I didn't know how. Like I could kind of find it a little bit. I was somewhere in the middle. I was like not Asian enough to be with like the super Asian kids and like not white enough to be with the white kids. So all the Asian kids drank this milk tea or the Vita iced tea version. So having it, I was like, oh,
Wow.
I felt like I belonged. I was like one of
Yeah,
the Asian kids. Yeah.
that feels like a very special memory. of that sense of
Yeah.
belonging, that sense of having community for the first
hmm
time.
I don't know, like there was something about it. It wasn't just about the tea. It was like going to sing karaoke, listening to
Mm.
Asian music. It was a rediscovery of my Asian
hmm
roots kind of happening live. Did you ever experience anything like that?
I did, but it came much later. So my sort of wanting to be Western and that journey for me happened very early in life and went on later in life than I would have liked to admit. So I probably was still sort of Western in my appearance and thinking and preferences and dress and friendships up until probably 2020, when I really went through this process of recognizing which parts of my identity were no longer working for me and which parts that I want to reclaim. And so I'm
Hmm.
still in the journey of reconnecting to my Filipina American roots and what it means to be a Filipina and making sense of that in a world that doesn't always honor or center or recognize or celebrate our identities. So I think for me, this rediscovery of music and language and culture has been something that's been really exciting, and also
Hmm.
I'm still learning. So the thing that I'm most excited about that's bringing me joy is I'm learning Baybayin, which is the pre-colonial language of the Philippines, and it's script. So we didn't speak it, but it was a language of writing. And I remember when I first saw the Baybayin keyboard on my phone, and you just see these, pre-colonial scripts,
hmm
there was something in me that felt like this is familiar. I've seen this before. It felt like so deeply connecting to recognize the signs and the script of my people, my ancestors that communicated in this way. And it felt really healing to see. And then there was an
Hmm.
excitement and eagerness to reconnect. So
Hmm.
that's what's bringing me joy right now. My inner child is happy sitting here with you
hmm
and eating snacks and talking about healing.
Should we open up our next snack?
Yes. So this
It's
is
time.
one that you invited
Okay.
me to get. This is my
Yes.
ASMR.
So, uh, for those listening, not watching, this is a wan. It's called wan. It's like a cracker, and it's kind of got the sweet flakes on top, and but the cracker itself is a little bit savory. So I'm really curious to hear how you like it.
Which part goes on my tongue? The
Oh, it
part
doesn't
with
matter.
the
I would
doesn't
put
matter.
it with a sweet part on my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I eat it, but there's no right way.
Mmm. Okay, hang on. The sweetness feels familiar. I don't think I've actually had this, but there's something about this that feels very cozy, like being in my tito's house and watching Teenage Ninja Turtles and eating something like this.
Hmm. For me, there's a couple of different types of this. There's another one that doesn't have the sugar on top. It's just savory. And I would demolish bags of it
Mm-hmm.
because
Well, they're
it was
light.
so addictive. They're light, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
They're
don't
like
feel like
very
you're picking out.
delicate. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, having abundance, like that to me spells abundance, those crackers, because it represented
Mm.
that, like, because my family didn't buy a lot of snacks. They were really health aware. Like my mom's love language is food. I often say that there's actually a sixth love language, and it's the Asian mom language, which is fruit and sweaters.
Oh, wait, say more about the sweaters.
Well, my mom
Were
is
you
always
buying
worried that I'm
them?
cold. Always worried that I'm cold.
Oh.
Every No matter what I'm doing, if she sees me, she is immediately assuming that one, I'm not wearing enough clothing, I'm going to get a
Mm-hmm.
cold, and I'm gonna die probably in the next 24 hours. So she's always trying to get me to wear vests and sweaters and jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if your
Mm-hmm.
family's like that, but like that's her way of showing love. She's just like, oh, you gotta wear this, and she'll like bring out her super ugly extra large
Oh,
size sweaters, and I'm like, I'm not gonna wear your
yes.
sweaters, mom. But I accept and receive the love.
Yeah. There's something so intentional in the caregiving of saying, I want to address this really important piece of your survival and comfort. And until I know that you're comfort, I'm not comfortable. Until I know that you feel safe and warm and connected, I am not safe and warm and connected.
Oh, I like that. Wow, that hit. Mother sacrifices, man. Those are some of the deepest stories in our culture.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be an Asian mother if you didn't remind your children of the sacrifices that they made.
Every day.
Every day.
Okay, I want to ask more about that moment because I think this is really interesting. Is when did you? You said in 2020 you kind of reclaimed or rediscovered that Asian side. Now, in a second, I'm just gonna open up this bag of shrimp crackers because I've been eyeing this ever since I
Oh my
ordered it.
gosh! Wait, are they the spicy ones or are they just regular ones?
I got the spicy ones because I was curious
You're so
about
brave.
the spicy ones.
Okay.
I've never tried the spicy ones before. This is my first time.
I'm excited for you.
So this is the Nong Shim shrimp crackers, spicy flavor. Okay.
Very
this is the
good.
moment. We're gonna
Okay,
try.
show us. Show us on the camera. Ooh.
Oh, it's got kick. Oh, I'm addicted
Wow.
to this. Wow. Okay, I
Oh,
need to-
dang.
Oh.
Just handfuls. Just shove handfuls.
Okay.
A prawn cracker, right? Shrimp chips go hard. What do you
Oh
like
my
about
God.
them? They have kick, but what else do you like about them?
I mean, shrimp crackers of different types. I used to eat those big ones. You know, those ones you find in some.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
ones.
those.
Those
They're like
ones
kind
were-
of.
Yeah, wavy kind of thing. They're like fried. I was obsessed with those when I was a kid too. You get to feel it on your tongue. It's a strange experience, but I remember it so clearly as a kid is that you put it in your mouth and it kind of, it's almost like those pop candies and they pop. And I would obsess over that sensation because it was so textured.
Yes. I want to make sure that I'm bringing to mind the experience you're recalling. And is it that experience of like almost where it feels like the cracker is gripping onto your tongue?
Yes, that. And that was magic because when you're a kid, like new sensations are amazing. Anything new is amazing. So that was 100%.
Yeah, I love that feeling. I used to take, because my mom used to make, she used to, gosh, what do you call them? They look like little circular pieces of stained glass. When you put them in hot oil, they puff up.
So did your mom make them?
She fries them. You just buy them, and they're like shrimp chips. The shrimp chips. And they also kind of like you put them on your tongue, and they would just grip onto your tongue. And I used to always try and like pull them off, and that was a very unique sensation that I really enjoyed when I was a kid too. Because it was new and interesting.
Yeah.
So I opened up my nori maki arare rice crackers with seaweed. I think because I've seen them before in mixed, like Asian snacks. And these are the ones that I actually wanted to eat. That's a good, like, hearty crunch.
I could really hear the crunch. Yeah.
Like a prawn cracker. One of the ones you had, those bad boys, like, it's a soft, delicate crunch with a lot of air. And these are denser in the
You
know, like
earn
in
it.
the-
There's like a
yes,
like you really gotta
Yes.
give her. Yeah, totally.
yeah, like I like when my jaw has to work a little bit for the crunch, like don't make it easy for me, like let me
Let me earn it.
let me earn it.
So that brings me to dinners with my dad, and his, friends. My dad was an academic, so he had a lot of academic friends. And Taiwan is, at one point, was a colony was colonized by Japan. And so there's a lot of Japanese influence in Taiwanese culture. And so a lot of times we would go to these restaurants and they're all like semi-Japanese, semi-Taiwanese. They're like Japanese restaurants, but it has a Taiwanese kind of take to it. And they will bring out those snacks as part of it. And I was a kid, but that was one of the snacks that I would chew on. And it was the same thing with wasabi, the little wasabi peas that they would have in there.
Mm-hmm.
I have a love-hate relationship with the wasabi peas
Okay.
because they're so spicy. And
Yes.
I would get obsessed with it, and I'll put it in my mouth, and after a while, like my whole head would hurt because the spiciness would shoot up.
Absolutely. I developed, the taste for spice recently. I never liked it growing up, and I still kind of have. Like, I like a wasabi pea because it's a quick spice that dissipates easily versus the spice that kind of lingers and becomes uncomfortable. So the wasabi pea is a good threshold, I think, of spice when it comes to snacks. Okay. What are you picking next? I wonder if I also have it.
Okay, but I want to hear this. So tell me about, because I'm really always curious about when it is that many Asian Americans who, like myself, were more westernized at one point. And then there's a coming home process. I feel like there's a desire, there's a desire and a calling to reconnect. And for me, I went back to Taiwan and I wanted to feel connected to that culture as an adult, which is something you don't really think about. And I noticed two things. One, I love the feeling of being in Taiwan because people are so warm there. It is truly different. Like people in Canada, where I am at, are very polite. Everyone's very considerate. They're very polite. But when I'm in Taiwan, I genuinely feel warmth. Like people would actually just invite me over to eat or invite me to their homes. People are so caring. Even if they don't know you, there's just this kind of like, you'll get grandmas on the street and they'll like come up and talk to you and give you advice kind of thing. But it comes from such a genuine place. So that was my journey. But at the same time, I also felt like a bit of a foreigner in my own country. I felt like I didn't know all the music and the slang. And I remember walking down the street one time and somebody came up to me and literally just asked, like, "Are you from America?" And I said, "Yes. How did you know?" And she said, "Do you guys walk different?" So I'm like, I can't even escape that. Yeah, because I'm like, here I am. I'm like, oh, I must belong. I must fit in because, I'm an Asian guy. Yeah, I don't know how, have you ever felt anything like this?
Yeah. Gosh, what you're describing resonates so deeply with me. I was born in the Philippines. We moved here when I was 2. We went back when I was 14. And then the last time we went back was in 2021. Is that right? In 2021. Yeah, wow, in 2021. So I had that similar experience of this place feels like home. There's something about the smells and the movements and the watching the people mill around one another and just exist in community with one another and how loving they are and how food-centered they are. That felt familiar and safe. And then there was this other side of me that felt like an outsider, like an interloper. Like I might have tricked some people, but if the moment they heard me speak or the moment they saw me move or the moment they saw me walk, they'd pick me out immediately as someone who didn't belong. I don't speak the language. My accent is not as good as I'd like. And I remember feeling shame that I had been away from my country for so long and that I couldn't speak the country's language. I couldn't speak Tagalog. I couldn't respond. I couldn't, express my gratitude when people would bring us food or invite us over or say nice things. And so there was an element of feeling disconnected and wanting to reestablish my identity as a Filipino American or a Filipino in general, because I think there's a sense of mourning that comes very heavy for those of us who live in the diaspora because we didn't grow up in our countries. And so I think the process of reclaiming our ethnic identities is a lifelong one. And it takes these moments of being back in our culture, realizing, wow, there's a disconnect. And I don't like how that feels to be disconnected. That often is the inspiration for us to do this work.
You know, a friend of mine, yes. And there's a friend of mine, who's also a therapist, and her name is Ji-Young Kim. And she talks about the concept of diasporic joy and diasporic grief. And I think this is where it is. Like, there's a grieving process of realizing, oh, there is a disconnect. And then there's a joy in the reconnection of it. I'm curious, has this come up with any of the people you've worked with? Or have you ever worked with that transition of how do we reclaim that? How do we reconnect with that? Aside from eating shrimp crackers and milk tea, which I'm going to continue doing as you dive deep in this topic.
I hope you do. Snack on in. We're going to talk about diasporic healing. So what we tend to find for folks as they process the mourning of ethnic identity, there's sort of a multiple step process. The first process is realizing that that a disconnect exists. That there's something about who I am and who I aspire to be that I haven't yet reached based on my expectations of what it means to be someone with this shared identity. And with that experience
Hold
comes...
on. Go. Say more about that. What do you mean, who am I supposed to be?
Yeah. So the question that I often get, or the comment that I often hear throughout my book tour or in my work or in conversations, especially with Asian Americans who are earlier on in their ethnic identity development, is around feelings and beliefs that you're not Asian enough. You're not Taiwanese enough. You're not Filipino enough. You're not Chinese enough because you can't speak the language, cook the food, travel independently in the country. Like all these things, all these expectations that we've internalized about what it means to be a real Asian American.
Taiwanese, Asian, whatever.
And so when we have the realization that we are not that person that we aspirationally would like to be, we experience feelings of shame and sadness and this mourning of, who am I then? Who am I really? So then the next stage is sort of that process of accessing diasporic joy. How do we recenter the connections, the relationships, the culture, the language, the food, the experiences that would heal that part of ourself that we believed was not yet whole? And it's through things like this. Food and journeying together and having conversations and reminding one another that you are already enough. You are already Taiwanese enough, Chinese enough, Japanese enough, and that we just have to give that to ourselves. We have to cut our own fruit and, remind ourselves that we are worthy of love and belonging.
I love that. It is always coming back to the self-recognition that we have to take on first. That there is I think there's a forgiveness. I'm using the word very, kind of offhandedly here, but when I say forgiveness, there is a kind of, yes, I've chosen to find an identity somewhere in the middle. I've taken some values, and there's a concept called bicultural integration. And bicultural integration basically covers through 4 levels, right? Or 4 different types, right? There's like marginalization, which is I don't belong in my heritage and I don't belong in the mainstream, which is I don't belong anywhere, basically. It's just like sad face. And then we go into separation, and separation is more like I belong in the heritage, even though I'm living in a different place, but I don't belong in the mainstream. Which is, a lot of, I would say, some Asian people who you might see, like, they don't speak the local languages and they kind of hang around and stick to their own local communities. And then there's assimilation. And this is where I think most people get wrong, because we have so much pressure on assimilation and people think that assimilation is the goal. But I think, especially in North America, assimilation is actually not the goal. It's integration.
Mm-hmm.
Assimilation means we release our heritage and only adopt the mainstream. But integration is the connection of both.
Yes.
So what you're talking about sounds a lot like that fourth stage. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
The integration
Absolutely.
of I accept my Asianness and my non-Asianness.
Yes. And
So good.
integration is where we also find the best mental health among our community. It's when we are integrated that we can successfully code switch and sort of channel all the best parts of who we are in ways that help us to navigate the world in a really nuanced and complex way. So integration is where stronger mental health exists, and assimilation is where ethnic shame lives.
That's it. So the goal is to move from assimilation to integration. And the next goal is to eat.
Try that high chew.
Oh, high shoe. Yes.
Oh,
that's
no.
right.
What
Okay,
did you
we're
have?
taking
Was that a white rabbit?
No, I couldn't find any white rabbits. I did find Pocky.
Okay. I'm going to come with you on this pocket journey. Did you get the pre-dipped ones or
I
the ones
could not find the dipped ones. I tried to find them. They were sold out.
These ones?
No. The ones where you scoop the yan-yans that you sent me. Those
Oh,
ones.
Yeah.
Okay, we're having a Pocky sharing moment. This is
Having a pocket sharing moment.
Tell me about Pocky. Is Pocky a big thing in your upbringing?
Yeah. So every Sunday when I was a kid, we would go to church. Oh my gosh, I just opened this and the smell is bringing me back. So the strawberry ones are my favorite. Yeah, and there's a very specific strawberry smell of a Pocky and a yan. It's this like highly synthetic fruit essence that is essentially
Again,
red
this is
dye
not
number
a
40.
a biohacking episode. This is clearly okay. Tell me about the strawberry one and what it brings up for you.
Every Sunday, we would go to church, and if we were good, my mom would take us to Chinatown, and we would get yans or Pockies. And so a Pocky
So yan
or a
yans are the ones
yan.
that just to shorten up. So yan yans are the ones that don't have the chocolate covering, but it's got like a little pocket with this like
Yes.
with the
It's
sauce,
like
right? The
Asian.
chocolate
It's like
sauce.
Asian Dunkaroos. Essentially, is what it is.
Oh, that's it. Yep, that's it. Dunkaroos. Yep. So you dip into it. Yep. Okay. Great. Keep going.
And I used to get the strawberry ones and pretend that it was lipstick, and I would put like the cream all over my mouth, and of course it was very messy, but it was exciting. And so eating and smelling a Pocky or a yan kind of brings to mind I think the feeling of pride and the feeling of compersion of being a good girl.
Okay.
I was at the airport and this guy had his dog and he was like, good girl. And I turned around so fast. like, I'm like way into this.
So we were planning for this originally before we decided to the snacks to be a sex love relationship episode because I think that's such an interesting topic. There's so many layers we can dive into. And I do think that being Asian American, our dating and relationship experiences are actually very different. We have to navigate cultural expectations. We have to navigate expectations from the other side. There's fetishization. There's all of this, like so many layers. There's very different experiences, what it's like to date as an Asian guy versus dating as an Asian woman. But then we got into the snacks, so we're going to have to do that episode somewhere down the road.
It's a great teaser.
Yeah. And we'll do that one in bed.
Sitting in our respective beds.
Sorry. Yeah, in separate locations. We are going to be recording in our own respective beds. That clarification. Or that was one of the ideas I had. I was like, we should record this snack episode in bed because what is more childlike than eating in bed?
Yeah. And so when we originally started, kind of setting up the recording, I had my like squishmallows behind me, and it was a very kind of like childlike scene. And I was actually going to do my makeup in like a very like kind of like a kawaii way with like, big wings and like, like everything like bright pink blush. But then I was like, that's going to look crazy when folks Google me for speaking engagement. And they're like, why does she look like this?
Yeah.
I cannot bring her to talk to my company in this way.
Yeah, Microsoft going through a list of speakers and like, oh, that's a cute one. So I love Pocky. Okay. When I was in Taiwan, I went to school in Taiwan for a few years, like I guess preschool and then like first grade. I never did this when I was in North America, so I'm curious to hear if you've ever had this. If we were really good as a whole class, we would get a student, like a little party basically. And the party is everyone brings snacks to share. So everyone will bring home snacks that parents will pack for everyone else in the class, and it was like this episode was just like we would hang out and chat and eat snacks, and it was the best. Pocky at the time, I remember, was like the highest value snacks, and whoever brought the Pocky would be the most popular because it's amazing.
So your book, Big Asian Energy, is designed to help folks achieve their greatest self in business and in mental health, as leaders, to essentially increase their sense of joy and abundance and also their belonging.
Yep.
And this, yes, correct? And this now makes sense as to why this book needed to be born and why you needed to write this. Because in every single one of your food stories, you talk about belonging. You talk about the snack that signaled belonging. You talk about the high value treat. Yeah, that is linked to acceptance. And so this is a value that you've carried since you were a child. How do we help folks experience more belonging and connectedness?
Yes,
I really appreciate that about you.
Wow, you nailed it. Wow. Again, have you ever thought about being a therapist?
Oh, gosh.
But okay. So actually, this really is, for me, I think that really at the very deeper core of this, really there's three deepest desires. Everything we do is based on three deepest desires: is love, safety, and belonging. When somebody comes to me and it's like, oh, I want to be a more confident leader, I want to be a more powerful speaker, I'm like, where's confidence coming from? Confidence comes from psychological safety. It's a feeling that whatever you do, you will continue to be accepted and your mistakes are allowed, right? When somebody feels confident, it's not that they know they're going to do everything perfectly. They know that even if they make a mistake, that it won't jeopardize their belonging. And for so many of us, and I'm speaking for myself here primarily, there was always, I think, some level of conditional belonging. And I always say this, is that acceptance is not the same thing as belonging. Representation is not the same thing as belonging, because there's still tokenization. So I hear this all the time in the leadership space where people will talk about, oh yeah, like I feel like I'm competing for that one Asian seat at the table. I feel like when it's time to get promoted or there's like board seats available or something like that, you look around the room and it's almost like there's a tokenized seat. It's to say, okay, we're just trying to choose between these two interchangeable Asians. Yeah. Or you hear about people who are like, oh, I got invited to this event and it was a big deal for me. And everyone kind of was like, oh, hi. And then they kind of just ignored me for the rest of the time. There's not true belonging. So all of these things, like starting from our families, do we feel like we are accepted even if we make mistakes? And then in the workplace, do we feel like who we are could be fully embraced without hiding our cultural elements? There was a study that showed something like 15% of Asian American men and 20% of Asian American women feel like they actually belong in the workplace or are accepted in the workplace.
Yeah.
That's insane. That means 85% of Asian Americans, 80 to 85% of Asian Americans don't feel like they're fully accepted for who they are without having to whitewash or hide. So
Yeah.
this is absolutely my mission, is to make sure that we never have to question our belonging.
I'm so glad you're doing this work. I can't wait to read Big Asian Energy when it is released later this month in May.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the all out. So yes.
I like what you said about how Asian Americans, we're always trying to make sense of our belonging. And yeah, to be Asian American means to live in the hyphen, to never quite feel Asian enough in some spaces and never quite feel American enough in others. And remembering that, in some times of our life, whether it's real or perceived, who gets to dictate our Asianness and our Americanness is often out of our control.
And this is why my general philosophy is, it's not just about fighting for a seat at the table. We can make our own table. We can find our own communities. We can create that support network that we need and support one another. Okay. Speaking of support, can we talk about this? Lychee
Wait, are those
Jello.
lychee jellos? Okay. No. There's a specific way to eat these. First, show me.
Okay.
Show me. Is
okay,
it?
hold on.
Is it the cups?
We're gonna open it up. Yes, they're individual cups.
Okay.
They're-
So they're in a liquid. You have to suck out the liquid, and then you can eat the jelly.
Okay.
Be a good boy.
I'm ready for it.
Be a good boy, John.
We're not doing it this episode. We talk about that.
My bad.
Okay.
This is not the
All right,
kink
we're gonna do
episode.
this. Oh.
We should do a liberating kink and BDSM.
Fuck yes.
Episode.
Let's do it. Yes. Okay, hold on.
Yes, that is the correct way to
squirted in my
open it.
mouth.
Yep, as it does.
That was very sexual. Okay. Okay, and then what do I do? Do I just pop it in, whole thing?
You have
a
to
shot? Jello
squeeze the
shot?
bottom. Yeah, but you have to
Okay.
either you can slide your tongue in there.
This is getting more and more sexual by the second. You just gotta
making it
slide your tongue in there and suck it out. And if it squirts in your mouth, just swallow.
You just say
This
thank
is
you.
not a professional. You say thank you. Okay, I'm ready for this. Jello shot.
None of this is usable. Okay, but how?
So
good?
my article was published by the Wall Street Journal today. So I'm a
Oh my gosh!
yeah.
Say more.
Can I tell you?
You just,
No.
say more.
So the Wall Street Journal, this morning I woke up and I got an email, and my publishers were like, "Congratulations, Wall Street Journal decided to print an excerpt and an essay from your book." I'm so excited.
It's a big deal.
It is huge. Oh my gosh. So okay, I'll share a funny story. We talked about this doing on our trip to New York. I had a billboard of my book that was going up, so it's up, which is amazing. And they took a picture of it. I shared it with my mom, and I feel like it wasn't until she saw that picture that she took me seriously as a writer. I think for a long time she's like, I didn't understand what your book is about, but now that she saw the picture, she started sending it to all her friends. And she's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
check it out." I
You
feel
know
like
what that
that's,
is? It's that social capital.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's that look what my son is doing. It's that positioning our children like they're pieces on a chessboard. And look what my son did. I don't care that your son went to Harvard. My son has his book on the New York Times billboard. That's huge.
Yeah.
And also, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, I think that's like a stamp of approval that, you get from your parents. You're like, okay, I've earned that one. Because I think It's an interesting thing. Like I have had talked to so many people. I think I was literally talking about this with somebody else a couple of days. I was doing a podcast a couple of days ago, and it was from somebody who is a creative and an artist, super talented, and she was talking about this. Like, at what point do you feel like you are accepting your identity? At what point? I mean, did your parents always support what you were doing when you told
My
them that you're
parents
going to go into psychology?
my parents don't really know what I do. Um, I think they know that I'm a professor and that I speak about mental health, but they don't really know. They think that I'm a psychiatrist, that I like prescribe medication. And I always would tell them, like, I don't do that. I'm not that kind of doctor. You were there at my graduation. They said PhD. But yeah, I don't think that my parents, and the reason why is because my parents and my family, like the lineage is medical professional. It's nurses and doctors and physicians and not academics. And so the idea of what it means to be an academic and a researcher and a speaker and an educator, I think those things are so different and they don't know how to make sense of that. So I remember, growing up like 5 years ago, feeling really resentful when my parents wouldn't react to these accomplishments that I had because they didn't get excited enough. They would say, "Good job," and then would say, pass the gulai, pass the vegetables. I remember thinking, why don't you understand like what a big deal it is to have nearly 20 articles archived in the World Health Organization? But my
By the way, just to take a pause for those people who don't understand how big of a deal that is, it is a very, very, very big deal. Not everyone, not even some of the most talented academics get that, like 20 publications like that, and very highly regarded. So I need to
Thank
just
you.
give that shout out there. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I would tell that to my parents, and they would say, "Oh, that's so great." And then it was like the next thing. But
Yeah.
if, my brother scored something on his MCAT, or if he got a placement, for his residency, it was the most exciting thing. They wanted to have a dinner, they wanted to host a party. And so there was this difference in how accomplishments were weighted. And I think it's because my parents just don't understand the world of academia, that they didn't understand the weightiness of some of my accomplishments. And even the book, it's I think they're proud, but I don't know that they really understand what I'm hoping to do with it and why it's meaningful to me.
And once again, thanks for listening to this episode of Big Asian Energy. Don't forget to come back and check out our book coming out May 27th, Big Asian Energy, in everywhere you can find books. Have a good one.